Now this right here from Egyptian Yoga is one of the best explanations and charts that basically shows the spread of mythology and philosophy from ancient times to modern times and through the different cultures. Let's get to the root now. Okay, according to the root of this right here, we have Ethiopia. Now, you probably know this symbol as a yin and yang symbol, but it's also a very ancient African sigil. Now, let's just first deal with this book right here, Egyptian Yoga. And this particular book right here is named Egyptian Yoga. Right here, Egyptian Yoga. Egyptian Yoga, the philosophy of enlightenment. Now, this particular document by Muata Ashby and edited by Karen Clark Ashby. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with this particular document and treatise, Egyptian Yoga, but it's one that we have found to be very, very informative and very, very interesting. And now the brother who has, this is the brother right here, about the author, Dr. Ashby. And he's done a very excellent work, which we know as Egyptian Yoga. And here's an ad for the book, Egyptian Yoga, right? As well as some Egyptian fonts, and this is one brother who has really contributed to the real work of I peoples and helping us to restore the half of the story that we have lost. But not too many people really refer to this book, and so we decided to present a little treatment of some of the subject matters, like this particular chart right here, like this the spread of mythology and philosophy. Now, when we get to the heart of it, this is, a basic a map, so to speak, and he says from the previous essays, it is possible to understand the enduring influence of ancient Ethiopian religion and philosophy, though it may not be possible to pinpoint every single historical event which traces the movement of the philosophy or the love of wisdom of oneness. The Europeans, the Eurocentric and Anglo would call it monotheism, but we call it oneness throughout the world. It is possible to determine and correlate the various concurrent themes of each system and to derive a basis of mythological and philosophical unity of history. A new picture emerges to our understanding of our religions and the meaning of our existence. Now, regardless of their origins, and some say that these origins actually go back to, as the author says, Mars, Africa, Sirius, etc., it is possible to view our own religious origins and religious needs with a sense of commonality as members of a single human race, which goes beyond any regional differences which might have caused changes in the original teachings. Now, he says that on this particular page, and this is the philosophy of enlightenment, Egyptian Yoga. This is the spread of mythology and philosophy. So let's first go to the root. Now, some say that this actually originated, they said, from the universal spirit or from the one God, whether Yahweh Ahad, Ahadu Amlak in the Ethiopian and Ethiopic church or Christian traditions of the Tewahedo or Orthodox Church, Ethiopian Hebraic root and truth. Some connect that, make a link that This has a Mars, Sirius, some say Atlantis, or some other civilization they say birthed the culture that we have in Ethiopia and ancient Ethiopia, what we call Ethiopic, or in ancient Egypt, what we call either Kemet or Smaitawi or Tarseti, so forth and so on. But now it is from Egypt, see, as it branches out into different directions. We can see a branching out. We can see a branching out as it goes to the north to so-called Greek philosophy and what's mentioned as hermeneutics, or the Rosicrucians and the Druids and what's known as Eurasia. We can see that coming out from its root in Ethiopia and then going to Egypt, following the Nile or the Hatha Valley. Then we also have it go into what's known as Sufistic, the Sufism in Islam, or the Essenes in the Hebreo or Christianity, or you see the Jesus or Jesus movement, or Kabbalah, you understand, Kabbalah, or the Judaic or Jewish, or another branch of the Hebraic movement, or Hinduism. We have it also come out from ancient Egypt into Hinduism, and HindusKush, as it's known, and Kush is referring to its Egyptian, Ethiopic, and its origin in Africa. Buddhism, the same with Buddhism, coming out of Africa, coming out of Egypt, originating from Ethiopia, ancient Ethiopia, or Taoism in China. Taoism also coming out, branching out, or even in Japan, Shinto, the Shinto or Japanese in Japan, and all of this is now in Asia. Now, let's just count this for a moment. We have, how many we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Isn't this interesting? When we read in Revelation, about the 7. You understand, those 7 stars. You understand, those 7 candles, illumination, or the religious illumination of these particular ancient cultures right here. But we can see the root clearly is in Africa, you understand, or more precisely in Ethiopia, or the Tob land, the Tobia, the good land, which later the Greeks would call it. The Greeks up here call this land Ethiopis, which means burnt faces, some say. But really, when we go back to its real etymological origins, we find the archaic of Ethiopia is a Tob branching now, going off into different cultures. Now, from the Egypt and Ethiopia root and flowering in Egypt, we have it going from east, crossing the river of Egypt, the river of Ethiopia, and going from the east to the west into the Yoruba culture, and also the Ebo, but the Yoruba culture. And then we have it now coming over here into the Americas, the Yoruba culture. We have the Santeria culture as well. We have the Dogon link as well. So this is a very, very good chart that shows the spread of what's known as mythology or philosophy, but also can be ascribed as religious or spiritual teaching. Ethiopia and the Egypt rootage of these various religious or spiritual or philosophical or even mythological traditions. So once again, we give thanks, and we're going to touch on this book a little bit more. This is a very important work, and just to show you the cover of this once again, this is a work called Egyptian Yoga, the philosophy of enlightenment. And we would suggest that ones and ones obtain a copy if they can. Check out the book, and this book is by Muata Ashby and edited by Karen Clark Ashby. Egyptian Yoga. Give thanks. Shalom Rastafari.
Hi, welcome to Sound Yoga. My name is Stephen Russell. I'd like to talk about sitting. Many yoga practices start with sitting on the floor for several minutes. And usually a yoga practice ends with sitting on the floor for several minutes. Of course, a yoga practice is a good way to prepare for sitting in meditation. There are several different ways to sit on the floor. It's important to be comfortable. It's important to maintain a vertical spine. And it's important to relax. There's several different ways. One way is the cross-legged position with either foot in front. You can sit with one foot up on the hip. Some people call this half. There's lotus. Both feet up on the opposite hip for full lotus. You can also sit with the feet behind, the knees bent, sitting back on the heels. If I know that I'm going to have to be sitting for more than a minute or two, because of some lower back, I know that after not too long, my lower back is going to start to ache. Then, not only will I be in pain, I'll also have no choice but to start rounding my back, and I'll probably end up sitting in something that's not exactly the most healthy for a long time. Therefore, I sit on a block. Sitting on a block, I can increase the angle between the legs and the upper body, and I can be much more comfortable, especially for a long time. Blocks come in different sizes. Sitting on a block, I can maintain a more natural in my lower back as I maintain a vertical spine, and I can relax. You can also sit on a rolled up mat. Blanket, or even two blankets. And you can sit on a beanbag type cushion. This way I can make it as high as I like. I can adjust it. I can maintain a vertical spine. I can maintain a more natural curve, especially in my lower back. And I can relax.